telling yourself, I don't quite feel like myself anymore, and you can't explain why, then this video is for you. It's rarely just one thing. It's not just the sleep or the food or the mood. It's how all three of those things are quietly interacting with each other all day, every day. And once you understand that conversation that they're having, it makes a lot more sense. Many women say, I don't think there's anything terribly wrong. I just feel a bit off, a bit sort of unsteady, more tired, more irritable perhaps, not sleeping well, and less resilient. Do you resonate with this? I know that I do. I also resonate with the fact that sometimes we start to blame ourselves. So I'm not eating properly, or, I haven't done my 10,000 steps, what have you. But there's no point in laying blame at our own door. This is a physiological thing, not a psychological thing, because midlife changes affect your regulation, not just your energy or your weight, which is what we tend to concentrate on. Food, sleep and mood don't sit in separate boxes. They form a feedback loop. Poor sleep affects appetite and emotional resilience. What we eat affects sleep quality and mood stability. And of course, mood influences craving and motivation and the ability to just rest. That's why trying to fix just one thing always leads to frustration. That's why trying to fix just one thing always leads to frustration. Midlife bodies tend to cope less well with big sugar swings. We become insulin resistant. We're not as adept at evening ourselves out in the way that we would have been in our 20s and 30s. That's why skipping meals and relying on quick fixes or eating too lightly can often backfire on us. We can't just skip meals the way we used to when we were young and lose half a stone. It doesn't work that way. Our metabolism has changed. What does help are regular meals with enough protein and fibre, and fewer dramatic highs and crashes. It's not about dieting, but about feeling more even with our eating. Whether we like it or not, sleep changes over 50. Have you noticed that you're sleeping more lightly, that you're waking up more often, that maybe then you wake up and have to go to the bathroom and then you can't get back to sleep? Waking in the night doesn't automatically mean that there's something wrong. And we need to let go of that panic that we can feel when we can't get to sleep or we can't get back to sleep when we wake up, because that just causes anxiety and a self-perpetuating cycle. Far better is to aim for consistency in your bedtime, in your wind down routine. If you're feeling more irritable, more snappy, you can tell that I relate to this, or you just have that sort of low mood or you're feeling flat, that's a signal. You see, these hormonal changes that we all go through affect your neurotransmitters in your brain. You have estrogen receptors in your brain as well as in the rest of your body. And these neurotransmitters affect your sense of calm and concentration and motivation. So feeling less like yourself can come from nervous system overload. It means that your body needs a different kind of support now. What works best of all are small adjustments. Big overhauls rarely stick in midlife. Gentle changes often work better, partly because they're more sustainable. So aim to eat regularly and eat a little bit more rather than less of the right things. Create an early evening routine that sustains you. You know all the advice, no screens for an hour before bed, etc., etc. But try to create a sense of calm, whatever it is that works for you, before going and getting into bed ready to sleep. I find that reading a chapter of a book after I go to bed always helps. I always fall asleep before I get to the end of the second one. I think it just calms my brain. What works for you? Because I'd love to know in the comments. It'll help us all out to find out what works for sleep and food and mood for you. When it comes to exercise, you might really love the gym, or you might really love going jogging or what have you. But for the rest of us, it's that sustainable, becoming fit for our lives now that's more important. And that might mean walking, getting regular daylight. Get daylight in your eyes before 12 o'clock because that helps to reset your circadian rhythm. Stretching is hugely important as well now. We can't afford not to stretch when we get out of bed or when we're about to get in bed, else we become stiff and inflexible. So it's these small changes aim for stability rather than optimization. What helps most is rebuilding trust with our bodies. So rather than pushing ourselves, listen to what our bodies are telling us. So if you get up one morning and you're intending to go for a long walk, but you're just really exhausted and your knees are hurting, your back's aching, or maybe just go for that 20-minute walk. I often find that I'll not want to go for a walk. I go outside and I'll think I'll just do 10 minutes out, 10 minutes back. At least I've moved, at least I've got my lymph running through my body and my blood pumping if I walk fast enough. And then I end up loosening up and enjoying it and going for longer. So it's about having your walking clothes by your bed to climb into, or your gym kit if that's what you're going to do, and your trainers by the door, and just making it easy to get out without thinking. I think it's Mel Robbins, isn't it, that talks about the 1, 2, 3 method. So you don't overthink things. If you're struggling to get out of bed in the morning, for example, and I've done this before, if I've felt really low and I really can't face the day, you just go 1, 2, 3, and by 3 you've propelled yourself out of the bed. Because low mood doesn't like a moving target. It's better to move and change your state and change the way your body feels, rather than to curl up, which is our instinct, and let everything stagnate. So sometimes if I'm feeling really low, I make myself, I'd say jump up and down, but you wouldn't call it jumping up and down because my feet don't leave the floor, but I pretend I'm jumping up and down, and I kind of shake my body out and so on, and just kind of change that state just to get that stagnation going. It doesn't always work 100%, but it does help. Be kind to yourself. In this time of year where everybody's making New Year resolutions, and you might have seen my video where I talked about the fact that I'm done with resolutions and so on in my 60s. We put ourselves under a tremendous amount of pressure, don't we? I'm going to lose a stone in a month. I'm going to run a 5K, couch to 5K or whatever. And it is pressure. If you don't feel it as pressure, that's great. I'm not saying these things aren't good things to do. But what I'm saying is, don't forget that there's this conversation going on within your system that you need to listen to. So if you've been feeling a bit unsteady lately, it's really common to feel this way at this time of our lives. Remember that this phase in our lives often calls for different support rather than more effort. Things will come full circle and you'll feel more grounded and more calm again. But the most important thing to understand is that you don't need to fix yourself. You're not broken. You're going through changes, whether that be through the perimenopause changes and the hormonal changes, or postmenopause, where your body is starting to grow older. But understanding that and giving yourself a break, giving yourself grace to make small changes, to nurture your body and to treat it kindly, is going to have far better effect on you in the long run than pushing yourself to do something that maybe would have worked 20 years ago. I hope that's helped. I look forward to seeing you next week.